Do you think I'm feminine? Would you say I'm feminine?
No, I think you think you're feminine because you spend a lot of time with a bunch of rough and gruff
Do you think
hooligans.
Ephraim's feminine?
Yeah.
I don't think you're. I don't think you are.
I don't think you're feminine.
I think you're silly.
Yeah, I think you're goofy.
I'm a Sigma male. Hey, welcome back to the program. Welcome back to 3 Ways to Survive. Here I am again, Ephraim Bernie. I've got 2 friends here. They might look a little familiar. Gus Bernie and Ryan Quigley, yet again.
Should we do some little banter?
What do you have to say?
I don't have anything to say.
No banter allowed in this
This is gonna
show.
get cut.
I hope everyone is feeling extra spooky today.
Well, are you scared? Because this one's a little scarier.
It's scarier?
I actually picked up the pace a little bit.
I'm glad, because I feel like last time I wasn't as scared as I'd like to be.
You thought it was a little vanilla.
I was, yeah.
Well, this time around, we don't have to worry about that. We are doing Doors by aCJohnson. It's a classic story.
How classic could it be?
I don't know.
It's a
but I
classic
laugh.
story. I'll read it. It's from 2010.
Classic story is like Goldilocks.
Yeah.
This is, come on.
This is Doors. Okay.
The story is Goldilocks and the thing. Prepare yourself for some spooks, is all I gotta say.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Such a chicken, man.
Okay.
I was adopted. I never knew my real mother. Rather, I knew her at one time, but I left her side when I was too little to be able to remember.
This is sad instead of scary.
You put an orphan in a story.
Oh, shoot.
Count me out.
Oh.
It's gonna get sadder too.
But I also think that you probably almost laughed at the top.
I did.
I almost did too.
I loved my adopted family, though. They were so kind to me. I ate well, I lived in a warm and comfortable house, and I got to stay up pretty late. Let me tell you about my family real fast. First, there's my mother. I never called her mom or anything like that. I just called her by her first name, Janice. She didn't mind at all, though. I called her that for so long, I don't think she even noticed. Anyhow, she was a very kind woman. I think that she's the one who recommended my adoption in the first place. Sometimes I would lay my head against her in front of the television, and she would tickle my back with her nails. She's one of those Hollywood mothers.
How is that Hollywood mom? Because she has long nails? Question. Do
Question.
guys like long nails? That's a
Not
whole
me.
other.
I actually think it's gross.
I don't like it either.
Do you remember, if you want a brief
Can I
aside?
tell this story fast? You
Yeah.
can cut it. So in high school, I'm so should I tell it?
Yeah.
Tell it.
I got from Lush. I bought this stick that makes your skin shiny. And I thought it was really cool. So I Googled, do guys like shiny girls? Yeah. And then Ephraim's friends came over.
She Googled it on my laptop. So I had friends come over, and we're like, oh, let's look up YouTube or whatever. And we're going on Google, and the first thing that pops up is, do guys like shiny girls?
And it wasn't even, yeah.
I
And they're
love
like
a
looking at
shiny
me,
girl.
And I don't even, I was like,
It was really pretty. But I didn't get an answer. Google didn't have an answer.
It would just make you look all sweaty.
No, it was like glittery.
do boys like shiny girls?
Sorry.
CreepyPasta fans out there, you let us know.
Yeah, but down in the comments.
Down in the
Okay.
comments.
You like shiny girls.
Oh,
Okay.
dear.
She's one of those Hollywood mothers.
What does that mean? We never talked about that.
Oh, yeah, I still don't know.
Hollywood
I
mom.
wonder if
I
she's
don't know.
shiny.
I think he's talking about the
Like-
moment. He just, like, this is a kid who
It's
doesn't...
like out of a
yeah.
storybook.
Yeah, out of a
Heartfelt.
Oh.
He's warming us up.
Second, there's Dad. His real name was Richard, but he never really liked me much, so I began to refer to him as Dad in a desperate attempt to gain his affection. It didn't work.
Dad and Janice.
I thought he was going to say Dick because his name is Richard.
Uh-huh.
But then he could be. Do you get it? Thank you.
I think that no matter what I called him, he would never love me as much as his own child. That's understandable, so I didn't really press the matter. The most notable attribute of Dad was his unmoving sternness. He was not afraid to pop his children when they did something wrong.
Give him a smack.
What year is this? 2010?
Mm-hmm.
Where are the police?
You can't get a wreck.
The kid's just grateful to be, sheltered from the elements. The kid's an
This is
orphan.
abuse.
Well, sure.
Where's Janice? Why
Janice
isn't
is
she
right.
stepping
Janice
in?
is into it.
Janice is tickling his back as he gets smacked around.
Oh, okay.
I found that out before I could use the restroom properly. He didn't hesitate to spank me. Well, I'm in line, and it's because of his methods. Lastly is my sister.
Little Emily.
Don't laugh.
Is this supposed to be a British story? Be honest.
I don't know. Could be. Little Emily.
Learn to use the bathroom properly. Little Emily.
Little Emily was really young when I was adopted, so we were about the same age, but she was slightly older. I like to think of her as my little sister, though. We got along better than any sibling could possibly get along. We would always stay up late together and just talk. Well, she did a lot of the talking. I mostly just listened because I loved her. It was a great setup that we had. We were short on bedrooms, so because I didn't want to sleep in the living room by myself when I was little, I had a pallet set up for me next to her bed on the floor.
You have any idea what a pallet is?
A palate expander. I'm familiar with those. Just right in your mouth.
And this episode is brought to you by Pallet Expanders. Use code GusBurnie for 20% off.
20% off your
Widen your mouth today.
This is where I have slept since, but it was cool with me because I enjoyed being with her, and I had always felt pretty protective of my little sis.
I think he has feelings for his sister.
You think it's an incest thing?
Well, it's not incest. He's an orphan.
Oh,
This is a beautiful
loophole.
romantic comedy beginning.
we wandered into
Clueless.
the wrong subreddit.
GusBurnie.
Onto the Gus Burney. Fans of Gus Burney 3D.
Everything changed on a horrible Wednesday night. I was at home, taking a nap when little Emily opened the front door. The sound of the door opening pulled me to a state of consciousness, and I walked from the room down the hall to the living room. That's when I first remembered it was Wednesday. I was never any good at keeping track of what day it was. Actually, I'll just go ahead and say it. My sense of time was horrible. But nevertheless, I knew it was Wednesday because Emily had just come home from her church's youth group gathering. She walked in the front door and hugged me, and then was followed in by Dad and Janice.
As soon as you bring in a youth church group,
Yeah.
you know trouble's about to follow.
It's true.
You have a good nap? Janice said teasingly as she ruffled up my hair. I just took my head away and snorted in a manner that was clearly expressed that I was teasing back with her.
What do you figure that sound was? How did the sound go?
Like,
Okay.
Why did you
Something
need
like that.
that?
I thought it would add richness. To
this is
the story.
it was probably important to keep that in mind.
Remind me to sanitize that mic.
Don't you snort at your mother like that, said Father gruffly with authority. He shut the door behind him and hung up his coat. I was clearly choking. I growled under my breath. He must not have heard me because I didn't feel him smack me. Emily then proceeded to her room and I followed. She started telling me about her day, usual teenage girl stuff. But I listened so that she would feel better. After her summary, she suggested watching TV, and I obliged and jumped onto the couch as she was going for the remote. She rolled her eyes at my little brother-like immaturity and scooted me over and sat down.
I worry that little Emily doesn't exist.
Stop it.
I worry that she
Don't
doesn't
go
exist.
there.
Okay, sorry.
Oh no.
Um,
But the parents have referred to her. They're like, "Hi, little Emily." Like they've been talking.
Where
to
in
her.
the story has that happened?
they
I
haven't
don't
done it
know.
yet. They haven't done it yet.
I don't think she exists.
The TV turned on and we watched it together until the sun went down. Emily was the kind of girl that, instead of watching cartoons and soap operas, would rather watch Discovery and Animal Planet and Natural Geographic. I liked those too, so I didn't mind. Actually, those were the only channels that can hold my attention. So it got late, and Janice walked up behind the sofa. Emily, it's past your bedtime. Turn off the television and go to your room. You too. She pointed at me. Emily turned off the program.
And I guess it is British because of program.
Well,
Maybe.
my grandmother used to call her soap operas her programs.
Was she British?
No, she was from
Was
Brooklyn.
she British?
She's from Brooklyn. Nanny, I gotta watch my programs. I like to
Program.
live.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good one.
Think so?
I've never watched it.
Emily turned off the program we were watching grudgingly and stood up. She started down the hallway to our room. As I followed, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. We went into our room, and Emily turned off the light. Just as she did, I caught a flash of movement out of the corner of my eye.
Oh, fuck.
It was out the window, but as soon as I redirected my line of sight to where the window was no longer in my peripheral vision, what it was that I thought I saw was gone. I still remained alert, for my sister's sake. I laid there in the darkness with nothing but the thin ray of light from the street lamp outside to illuminate the room. It wasn't much. Time and time again, I could have sworn that I heard subtle sounds just out the window.
Question: if this was you at this point, what would you do?
Nothing's gone wrong really so far.
Nothing. It's just a little spooky.
Like if
feel
you were spooked in the middle of the night, what do you do?
I would talk myself out. I'd watch a YouTube video.
You do.
Yeah. Bellhop. Watch Bellhop Productions.
Watch Bellhop. Yeah.
Yeah, I would subscribe to Bellhop Productions. That's
I would.
what I'd do. What would you do?
When I'm
I
most
would
scared,
turn all the lights on. You
turn
should
all the lights on.
Yeah.
But then the dad's
How are
gonna
you
beat
gonna
the fuck
sleep?
out of you.
Well, he's a couple doors down.
Well, I guess
How
so.
does he know?
I think that's a good idea. One time
Yeah.
I was away with my girlfriend, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I looked at the door, and I swore I saw something. I was like, "Oh
What
my
was it?
fucking god!" And then I was staring at it for a second, and then my girlfriend just by happenstance had to get up to like open the window because it was hot.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Is that your towel on the door?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, because for like a few seconds, I thought it was the Virgin Mary. I swore that it was an apparition of the Virgin, of our Blessed Mother.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I was like,
Like you really believe
I
this.
was like, oh my God. I was like, my life is ruined because now I'm going to have to go out and tell everybody. And I'm going to be one of those annoying people, be like, nah, I saw her. She's real.
She's real. I know we were worried. She is real.
So I've never been more relieved to see
All
a
the
fucking
stuff
towel.
that goes along with it, it's also real.
Yeah. So I just look at it for a little bit.
Time and time again, I could have sworn that I heard subtle sounds just out the window. A twig break, leaves crunching, clothes jostling, and all the while I could smell a faint stench of sweat and blood. I kept my eyes open most of the night. The sounds outside subsided, and the smell left my nose. I began to feel at ease. My eyelids closed. Not long after that, I heard a very loud crash on the other side of the house. I was up in an instant. "There's someone in the house!" I barked with extreme adrenaline coursing through me. "Wake up!" I shrilly pleaded with Emily. She did, and as soon as I saw her sit up, I ran to my parents' room. Dad was dead. His neck was splayed open and gaping as blood spilled out of it off the bed and onto the floor.
All right, we don't need all that.
No, I think we do.
I saw that the master bathroom's door was closed, and just before it, on the outside, was a man. A man. I don't feel comfortable calling it that. He was very large and rugged. He turned around and saw me, and that's when I saw him accurately for the first time. I won't forget it. His eyes were large and beady and trapped with lust. He was styling a beard that was badly unkempt with blood dripping off. His clothes were dirty, and his face was cold. Just then, I noticed the same horrid smell of sweat and blood from earlier, but this time it was overwhelming. He saw me. He saw me and grinned with a set of crooked yellow teeth. That smile threw me off. I thought that I was going to die, but then he turned back to the bathroom door, completely unperturbed by my presence. I was terrified, and I didn't know what to do. I just yelled and cried. I watched as he shouldered through the door that was my mom's only protection. I watched as he raised the large razor that he was carrying, but had obviously neglected to use properly. I watched as he sliced her open and tore her to shreds. I then heard something. The last thing I wanted to hear. It was Emily's scream coming from behind me. The large monstrosity looked up from my butchered mother and stared at my little sister. I was distraught. He stood up and quickly started walking towards us. My sis turned and ran, and I was at a loss when he bypassed me and went straight after her. Why was she still in the house? Had she not assessed the situation and run? Apparently not. And now she was dead, and I was alone. I ran after them both. I expected the man to kill her as he had the rest of my family, but I was sadly mistaken. He grabbed her by the arm and jerked her as a way to make clear that he was in control. He dragged her through the house. I was making all the noise I could now, hoping and praying that someone would come to my aid. He mustn't take her. Not her. As he passed me, I backed against the wall and whimpered with terror, "Why?" He didn't respond, except by putting his free hand on my head, while Emily screamed in the other and saying, "Good boy." He gave another crooked grin and a very cold, unnatural laugh. I followed him to the door where he dragged my helpless sister after him. He opened it, pulled her out, and slammed it shut behind him. I am now sitting in the house with my mutilated, adopted parents, shivering and whimpering with dismay. He's out there with her, doing who knows what to her, and I can't do anything. I would if I could, but I can't. I would chase after them in a heartbeat, but I can't. I sit here looking at the front door. I look down at my paws. If only I could open doors.
I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed.
Again, Doors by aCJohnson.
This is a good episode. I have to organize my thoughts.
What kind of story is that? You know?
So he's a fucking dog.
It's a dog.
No, yes.
I just want to
like-
make sure.
It's never
Could be a-
specified that it's a dog, but it's everybody who reads this
It's
kind
like
of agrees that it's
it's
a
a
dog.
quadruped. It's
Yeah.
a pet.
Good boy.
A good boy.
That's why.
Yeah.
But then what's this to solve? It's just like a mean man.
Yeah, this is just a murder, isn't it?
Well, how do you prevent it from happening? That's what we're going to figure out today.
So we're the dog.
You're a dog. What do you
I'm gonna be a
do to
pug.
survive it?
I hate pugs.
You get out.
What could you
There's
do?
a lot of sentiment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the dog basically just goes along with it. He knows something's wrong.
Yes.
As soon as the dog knew something was up, bark, bark, bark. Woof, 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 woof.
You start. You immediately you wake up.
Make a
dead.
scene.
What if they're like, oh my god, the dog.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Even if the dog's wrong. My dog was terrified of thunderstorms. She would freak the fuck out all night
Yeah.
because she thought that the world was ending.
Yeah, but you didn't do anything. She was trying to save
But I
the
was
day.
awake. If someone had tried to come butcher me,
Okay.
I'd be awake for it.
So you've woken them up, right? But what are they going to do? You know.
It's a matter of self-defense. Me personally, I have no faculties for this sort of. I'd be dead no matter what.
That's
right?
not true.
Totally. If a guy wants to murder me, this is a PSA. If you really want to murder me, I'm the easiest murderer you can find.
So you know self-defense, a little karate?
I was a red belt. But let's see how well Kung Fu does against this large yellow teeth man with a razor. Let's see how
Why
well
would they
Kung Fu.
include his teeth? I wonder why.
These are all important details to keep in mind.
Oh, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Really?
There's a whole solution. There's a whole solution here that we can
You hand him
derive.
a toothbrush.
But before I tell you what I have, we need Gus's solution.
Do
Ready?
you know yours?
He's also a dog.
Stop. There's a clear answer here. There's two options in my head, and I'm sorry because you hadn't finished.
No,
But,
I
like-
think I'm basically done. I think mine is.
Ryan's
bark.
solution is make a big loud
Don't
noise,
go
wake
don't go
everybody up.
down without a fight.
What the dog doing?
My scenario is that the dog's gonna come in and bite him. Why can't I would come in? I see him on.
You're the dog.
dad.
This is what you have to
You're
do.
the
You're
dog.
the dog.
I come in,
Where do you
jump on top of him, and take a piece of his ear off, or the lower half of him,
No, what were you gonna say?
his pee-pee. But that's totally a scenario. Bite him, and then he has to get off,
Bite
and
him,
then
yeah.
he's
Bite-
in pain.
bite-
Put up a little fight.
Bite
How
the
would you?
pee-pee.
So you're what
Bite
you're
the
saying.
penis.
You're gonna bite his penis or his ear.
One of
and
the two.
stop him.
They say those are
The two weakest parts of a man.
I think that would stop him, would it not?
It's a step in the right direction.
First of all, he goes on about how he calls Dad, and Janice, Janice. So
Yeah.
clear, and obviously the story is very well written, so he has a strong grasp of the English language.
Yeah,
So
there's some holes there.
he's very communicative.
Mm-hmm.
Is
It's
he a
good.
spelling dog? Maybe it's like that movie with Tim Allen.
The shaggy dog.
The shaggy dog.
All right. So we've heard what the two of them have to say. Let's see what I've come up with, huh? I have to open up my now different book.
Oh, I thought there was going to be continuity.
I know. I forgot to bring it with me today.
Okay.
Normally, we would start this by trying to categorize what monster or supernatural menace that we're dealing with. But because the twist ending, the smartest place is actually finding out what we are. While never explicitly stated, the general consensus of readers based on the language used by the writer is that the narrator is a dog. We see context clues in descriptive words like barked, snorted, and whimpered. So we're going to move forward under the pretense that we are in fact a dog.
Remember I made him do the snort?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
I knew what to do because I knew what a dog would sound like.
I bring a tremendous amount of value.
It's
But what kind of dog exactly? We're dealing with what could be hundreds of different variants here, so let's use some more context clues. What do we know about our situation? We were adopted at a young age, we've been in this family for a while, and that we call our older sister Little Emily. The fact that we call our sister Little Emily is a hint that we ourselves are probably not that small. If we were something like a pug or a chihuahua, we likely wouldn't know to call someone so much bigger than us little.
Also, thank God we're not a pug.
So let's look at some medium to bigger sized dogs. According to the AKC, the American Kennel Club,
According to the AKC, the American Kennel Club,
That's a thing?
that is a real thing.
Did you know that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
the most popular dogs adopted in 2010, the year that the story was written, are retrievers, both Labrador and Golden, and German Shepherds.
Are those the kind you like?
I'm too allergic to them. I need a hypoallergenic or a short-haired dog.
Okay, Nancy.
Well,
All of these could feasibly work for our purposes moving forward, but if I had to make a guess, I'd probably go with the German Shepherd. Retrievers are known for their social natures, and as we never hear the narrator speak of anybody outside of their immediate family, I'm leaning slightly towards a shepherd.
I'll allow it.
You'll allow it.
A bit of a stretch. A bit of a convenient choice.
A bit of a-
to pick a big, gruff, sharp-toothed German Shepherd as opposed to a big, fluffy, stupid
Doesn't mean
Goldie.
I agree.
But even if it
a
was-
bit of a convenient choice is all
Even
I'm
if
saying.
it was,
Sure.
it could still be a Goldie. It could still be a Labrador.
You ever talk to a Goldie? They're big, stupid idiots. I love them.
Because you said the person writing the story is highly good with the English language, probably not a big stupid idiot.
The Germans, man.
It's a German Shepherd. We'll go forward with that. But it is, it is lucky that we are this.
Sure.
Lastly, we'll want to keep in mind what kind of shape we're in. We know that we're close to our sister in age, but she is a little older than us. We know that her mom calls her a teenager, but that she's still part of the church's youth group and getting picked up by her parents, so she's probably not in her older teens. So let's make a general guess here that she's maybe 13, 14 years old.
Say
Is that old for a dog?
It's
very
old for a dog.
It's very old for a dog.
We can try and guess how old we are based on that, though it's tricky. A German Shepherd's average lifespan is about 11 years. It's unlikely that we're exactly that age.
Yeah.
Can I help you a little bit?
Sure.
The dog jumped up on the couch.
The dog jumps up on the couch.
You couldn't do that at 10 if you were a dog?
If the dog is jumping up on the couch, that's a great sign.
Not only, he's jumping over the couch, is what he said.
He's a magical dog.
He's flying across the room.
Okay, this dog is clearly in peak physical condition.
He's not in peak physical condition. We're gonna say that he's a little.
He's a chihuahua, because if he can jump that high,
That's against your point.
he's jumping over the couch.
A chihuahua's not gonna jump over the couch.
This couch is what, 3.5 feet tall? So you're telling me?
High.
You're telling me that a chihuahua? So a chihuahua is
Haven't
what?
you seen them? They're like,
You're telling me that a chihuahua
Skyrocketing upwards.
can jump? Well, what? 5 times its height?
I'm gonna get one and show ya.
Like it's a cricket?
Yeah.
So with all that being said, we are likely a fully grown German Shepherd that is maybe slightly past its prime, but still in decent enough physical condition. That is to say that we are capable of defending our family. Now let's take a look at our baddie. Since he doesn't exactly display any immediate identifiers that he's a monster or at the very least supernatural, it's possible that he might just be some crazy dude attacking this family. The narrator does say that he doesn't feel comfortable calling the intruder a man, but that could very well just be the response of a scared dog. So if we're being optimistic and saying that the intruder is a human man and you are this German Shepherd, here's how you would approach the situation. Police-trained dogs are almost always trained to attack the arms of an assailant. This is because if you can take away his ability to use a weapon, the intruder becomes much less dangerous. The same method should be used here, especially since this man only has a razor to defend himself. The perfect time to attack is right before the man notices the dog, after he has just killed the father and is attempting to attack Janice in the bathroom. Because the man is very large, what I recommend is first attacking by biting down fast and hard on the calf muscle of the leg corresponding with whichever arm is holding the razor. So left hand, left calf, right hand, right calf. After this first bite, he should be in immense pain. Jump up and bite the wrist of the hand holding the razor. With his corresponding leg immobilized, you should be able to use your body weight to bring him down to the floor, where you can then jump on top of him and go for the throat, fully taking him out and saving your mom and sister.
You didn't say anything about the pee-pee.
I didn't say that's true.
Which doesn't make sense to me. That's the prime.
He's gonna
spot
cut you
would
with
go
the.
for.
He's gonna cut you with the razor.
No, he's gonna be in searing pain.
Haven't you seen Home Alone? He's gonna go, oh!
Exactly.
And then you can cover him in feathers and whatever.
That is the optimistic approach for what is probably the likelier outcome out of the two. But just because the intruder doesn't immediately look like a monster, doesn't mean he isn't one.
His behavior can tell a very different story.
Oh, he's a ghoul.
Is this where the teeth thing comes in?
Yes. The fact that he can move so quickly, make his way into the house undetected, and most importantly, the fact that he takes the girl with him could point to him being, and don't laugh now, could point to him being the boogeyman.
I could not laugh. I could not. Oh no.
Oh, my strategy completely changes. You never go for the pee-pee with the boogeyman.
He doesn't have one.
Doesn't have one.
That would be the problem.
I still think he's a dog.
I know, sounds ridiculous, but the boogeyman is a universally recognized creature, and there are stories and myths about what brings him on and how to stop him.
So you wanna...
The chief identifiers of a boogeyman are as follows. Sharp, crooked teeth, shadowy or disguised face, usually either by a beard or a hood, long, tattered black clothing, large or tall frame, and a penchant for kidnapping children. And while Emily might be a little too old to be technically considered a child, the fact that he walks off with her could be a pointer in this direction. Because there are so many different incarnations and stories about the boogeyman, it's difficult to pin down which one he might be, but there are a few pervasive themes. The biggest thing seems to be fear. Boogeymen are most attracted to people who they know will be most scared of them, often taking on the form of a particular phobia. So the first step is to be not so scared, which is easier said than done.
I hate when people what do you
And I know that's a
Right, kids.
ridiculous thing. You
be
can't
brave.
ask
Just be
that.
brave.
Just be
You're
brave.
struggling through life, depression, be brave.
Be brave.
Come on.
So the second solution is to turn on the lights. We get a line about halfway through where it's made clear to us that the only light in the scene is coming from outside the house. It's not consistent with all boogeymen, but it is often told that they avoid all kinds of light. This dog might not necessarily know how to turn on the lights, but if you were a dog, and one of medium or large build, it's possible that you could prop yourself up against the hallway wall and switch on the lights, trapping the creature in the bedroom. You probably wouldn't be able to save your mom, but you could buy you and your sister enough time to get out of the house and into the safety of the street light outside until morning. So, don't be afraid and turn on the lights. That's how you survive doors.
Ugh.
Are we certain he's not a dog?
Well, what are your kind of resounding feelings having read it?
I think we should all get headbands that have lights on them. So if someone ever, like a boogeyman.
A preventative measure.
Put it on a dog, a little
Yeah.
headlamp for a dog.
Yeah.
Well,
and
what
then
if you
just shine it
can you
on
get
it.
any sleep though?
Well, it goes off and on.
That's pretty good.
think
Shark
that's
Tank,
pretty
if you're listening. Thanks for watching this episode of 3 Ways to Survive. As always, it's
Free
been us.
WTS, baby.
Free
Get your merch
WTS.
today. Free skull caps. They're not
Oh.
free.
As always, like and subscribe, or you could watch some of our sketch comedy and our ranking, Ranky Panky on Bellhop Productions.
Podcast, too. We do it.
We got the podcast too. We talk about Gus over there.
And if you have any scary stories that you know that you would like us to do, please link them below.
I hope some of this is funny, gang.
All right, love you.
All right, stay
you
safe
next
out there,
time.
gang. And as always, keep surviving.